Alright guys, welcome back. Now, first things first, if you are new, welcome. Please like, subscribe, share, comment down below if you want to see some more. Today, we are going to be talking about some video games that impacted my life. Like, the first time I played these games, these were just more than games. These were something completely different. So we are going to get right into it. Enough of me talking. Let's go. Now, I'm a PlayStation fan for life, or in other words, I'm a Sony pony, so I had to add in a classic PS2 game. We got Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy. Now, I remember when Blockbuster was actually a thing back in the day, I had to pick this game up without any knowledge, and this was a time when you didn't really have any reviews for games, and your knowledge was just on that back of the case. This was a game unlike any other I've played as far as open world goes. You had this mute character who was pretty much the PlayStation version of Link, who was making grunting noises, didn't say anything, and you had this obnoxious character on your shoulder the entire game. Now, as far as story, Daxter, that little animal thingy that's hanging on your shoulder, he was actually a person in the beginning of the game. So he was a human elf type species and fell into some magic eco, dark eco that turned him into an otter mixed with a weasel. I don't know. The Naughty Dog and the creators was in a different type of bag when they was making this game. But that's a plus. Good on them for creativity. And so throughout Jak and Daxter, we got to figure out how to get his body back. Plus, stop the villains on some Elric brother type shit.
Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist.
So, I would kind of compare it to Full Metal Alchemist in a way. They two brothers. Throughout the story, they just trying to get the body back. That's what Jak is doing for Daxter. Now, how this impacted me as a kid, this made me want to go out and see the world. With so much exploration and interacting with people, with different types of people and different types of things, and getting superpowers with the eco. I know you can't have superpowers in real life, but as far as interacting, yeah, that just made me want to just go see the world for what it is. Like, and plus, on top of that, Daxter's banter with people was top-notch hilarious at the time.
Hey, baby! What do you say you and I go cruising on this A-Grav Zoomer?
Rule number 1, I don't date animals.
You don't know what you're missing.
And then after this game, we got Jak 2. Now, it didn't so much impact me as the first game, but when this game came out, this was a complete 180. You had Jak. His first words were a curse word at the time, and back then I was like, what? This is Jak? And he had like grown his hair out a little bit. Not a little bit, it was a lot. And yeah, that game was much more darker. The first game is lighthearted. Platformer and one of the best games of the PS2 at the time, and PS2 catalog, crazy, unlike any other. But Jak and Daxter really impacted me in the way that how I want to go out in the world and just go see things, go travel, go interact with people from different cultures and the way of life. For our next game at number 2, we got Metal Gear Solid 3 with my dog Snake. So I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now. Snake Eater is up there in my top 10 as far as greatest games of all time. Now, this is the first Metal Gear game that I played in the franchise at the time, and I knew nothing about Snake, any other characters, the lore, or the story. I didn't even know what was going on. I remember in the 6th grade, I got this game from a friend, and he told me, I'm gonna give you this game, and I want you to play it as soon as you get home. I'm like, okay, and I was looking at the cover. The cover looked pretty dope. There's a dude with a pistol and a bandana. He looked like he's standing on business for real. Bruh, this isn't just a game. This is an experience with dynamic characters, top tier story, epic lore, all set in the jungle. You jump off a plane and you locked in already from the start. Like, when I tell you this was movie type quality as far as writing goes, like Hideo Kojima was really him when he made this specific game in particular. And my adolescent self really had to use my gaming noodle and how I played this. Like, you have to use critical thinking when you're playing this. Like, you can't, this isn't just a game where you shoot people and it's just mission complete. No, you have to think out, strategize on how you're going to go about different missions, how you're going to go about taking down the enemy, using the environment to hide from the enemy. Like, this game was ahead of its time. This was a stealth game in a wild jungle environment with actually a little bit of RPG elements in there. Like, you had to survive off the land, you had to camouflage, and use the jungle to your advantage, like I said. Oh, and another thing, mind you, the cutscenes. These cutscenes are like 15-20 minutes, so just be prepared to sit and watch, because them Metal Gear Solid cutscenes is super long, and they are known for having long cutscenes in all pretty much all the games. So this was definitely the start of playing mature type games, aside from GTA. This was the first mature game where you actually had to methodically think out how you were going to successfully use stealth and complete the mission.
It's American stores tomorrow, and it's making a lot of noise. There's an international outcry against it. Manhunt 2 is so violent, it's been banned in Britain. In fact, you may not want your kids to see the preview of this game in Daniel Seberg's Eye on Technology.
Now, next at number 3 is a game that turned me from a boy to a man in a matter of one playthrough. We got Manhunt 2. Now, my dad got this game on my 12th birthday. I remember it vividly. And my dad really didn't know anything about games or what they consisted of, really. So he was just picking up random games for my birthday. He picked up 2. One was Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2, and the other was Manhunt 2. Both sequels, which is crazy now that I think about it. But I knew nothing about this game, so it was definitely on the back burner because I was more focused on Tenkaichi 2. I played Tenkaichi 1, so I was ready to play this. And so I played that as soon as I got home. And after spending heavy amounts of time on that game, I finally decided to play Manhunt 2. I popped this disc in the PS2, and holy shit, I was not ready for what my 12-year-old self was about to get into. This game is probably the goriest, most violent game I've ever played in my life. Now, there are a lot of violent games out there, and Last of Us 2 was crazy. It was peak, but man, that Manhunt 2 was just different. Like, so basically the story, you were this guy by the name of Daniel Lamb, and you're trying to escape a mental asylum in the beginning of the game, And you also have this voice in your head telling you to kill in different types of ways. So big plot behind, there's like an organization that you got to stop that is making you hear these voices, and come to find out it's you the entire time that's doing these things, because the main character, he's a schizo, he's got schizophrenia. This game, the way it impacted me, this game made me discover what mental illness was and what dissociative identity disorder was. I definitely could not play this around my parents, and I kept this game in the tuck, in the secret. I could not play it around anybody else because this was just too violent. And also, after doing some research on this game, it got banned. It was so bad it got banned in several different countries. Now they lifted it later down the line, but when this came out, you had CNN, just like GTA. You had CNN, you had all the news outlets talking about this game and how it was so violent, not for kids. And this game was in 2007, so this was peak Rockstar at the time. Rockstar is still the GOAT, but this was when they was coming out with different types of games. Like you had Midnight Club, you had GTA, of course, you had Bully that came out previously in 2006, and then you had this strayed away from everything and anything that they ever did. This was focused on stealth, not so much like GTA, but yeah, this game is very violent. Younger audience should not even play this. I don't even know why I played this at 12, 13-year-old. And yeah. Oh, also, I almost forgot. There's different tiers of how you can kill people in this game. There's light, medium, and then heavy. And you can kill people with screwdrivers, plastic bags, bats, guns, all that. Like, it's scary to think of how creative the kills were in this game. It was terrifying. And as a kid, it was the catalyst for me getting into horror movies or like gory type movies. So yeah, this was like the gate open. Well, one of the gate openers to me, just looking at violent movies and video games.
I need something smuggled out of the city.
It's just cargo, Joel.
I just want some simple gear enough to set me on my way.
I reckon it's got something to do with that girl.
It's got everything to do with that little girl.
Okay, so at number 4, we got another Naughty Dog game. And also, side note, Naughty Dog is one of my favorite gaming developer studios of all time. Just to put that out there, so it's going to be more than just one of them. It was hard for me to choose just one because they got so many bangers from Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter, Uncharted, but I gotta go with the very first The Last of Us when it came out in 2013. This is yet another game where I say this isn't just a game anymore. We're way past that now. This is an experience. This is a journey of two characters. This story is an emotional roller coaster of an experience and had me locked in from the very beginning with the cordyceps virus and the pandemic popping off. So this game came out when I was a freshman in high school, and I just got off the incredible high of playing all the Uncharted games. When I saw the Last of Us game trailer at E3, I was like, I have to get this game. I don't know what it is. I don't know who this man with the plaid shirt and little girl that's with him is, but I need to get on this journey with him. Now, I really had no money at the time, or pretty much no job, so I couldn't get it like that. When Redbox was actually a thing, I was able to rent it off there, and I beat the game in legit 2 days. Like, I was locked in. And when you rent games from Blockbuster or Family Video Store or Redbox, you are on crunch time. So you got to get those games out and completed with the quickness. This game really taught me the morality of people and their choices in this game and the real world. If you really think about it, no one in this game is a good person, with the exception of Ellie. I will say that because she's just a kid, she doesn't know any better. It's all on perspective. You get so invested with these characters and the survival adventure with Ellie and Joel, it's like you a part of the family now. You see the dynamic of Joel in the beginning to not really wanting to deal with Ellie and just considers her cargo, to her throughout the story being a legit daughter figure to him. And these two go through the ringer with loss of certain people, grotesque clickers, and the worst enemy of them all, human beings themselves. Now, self-preservation in this world is key, and either you kill or be killed. And remember how I said no one in this game is a very good person? Yeah, so that's going to come back in part 2, which is even more polarizing with 2 specific characters in that game. This game was so good it got a TV show adaptation, which won Emmys. I'm just glad I was able to experience this journey with the 2 of them. At number 5, we got a game that introduced me to RPGs and just in general. We got The Witcher 3 with the legendary Geralt of Rivia. Now, I never really got into Final Fantasy or Persona or any of the major RPG games like that, but somehow this particular game was the gateway to RPGs for me. Now, I heard news that this was a potential game of the year. I heard so many good things about this game. I was like, I need to know what the fuss is about, so I'm gonna just get it. When I tell you I put so many hours into this game, where it just got to the point where it was unhealthy. Like, I wasn't leaving my room until I finished a certain side quest or a certain mission. The story on this one as well was a straight banger, with the main MC finding my homegirl Ciri, who's also a beast, and she got fire powers. And also the love triangle you would have with Yennefer and Triss. Bruh. My high school self was like, I don't know who to choose from. Yennefer was that chick that you really wanted to stay away from, but you really wanted low key. Triss was the type of girl that she was the ideal girl that you were supposed to be with, but it was just something about Yennefer. So you already know my decision. I had to go with my brunette. But you would actually have to choose on how you would want to interact with certain people, and that ultimately would come down to who's going to be your friend or who's going to be your foe throughout the story. I probably put close to 150 to 170 hours with this game, but with everything as far as customization, the certain powers you would get, the interaction with certain people, and that would just lead to a whole another side quest. And I haven't even talked about the DLC. The DLCs are just as long as the original game, but unfortunately I didn't get to play those. I might down the road in the future, but that main game was just hitting different. Alright, at number 6, you already know I had to put in Arcade Racer for the one time. We got Need for Speed Underground. Legendary. One word. Legendary. This game not only got me into racing games, but this game introduced me into the street racing customization and just the car world in general. Now, by all means, I am no car guru, but I do like my cars and the way they look and the way they sound. This is what got me into the Mitsubishi Lancer and the Nissan Skyline. I didn't even know what these cars were until I was watching Too Fast, Too Furious, or any of the Fast and Furious movies, and just playing this game. Now, if you remember this game, you already know when you pop that disc in the console and you press that start button, you automatically hear that classic Get Low with Lil Jon and the voice. Like, I wouldn't say this game put that on the map, but that song definitely pushed Need for Speed Underground to the forefront. And this game came out with the Fast and Furious at the same time, which was perfect timing. Also, the features on this game with the way you were driving at top speeds, the drag races, and the drift mode were all fire. Fire. This is the best driving Need for Speed has been at the time. And you also can't forget about that soundtrack. Like, this was when EA was really in their bag when it came to the music. This wasn't just for Need for Speed. This was for not only Need for Speed, you got NFL Street, you got NBA Street, you got SSX. Like, those games are too classic with the soundtracks. This was peak Need for Speed and probably top 3 best Need for Speed games in the franchise, in my opinion. And finally, at number 7, I had to add in a fighting game. Now, for the people who know me, they know my joy in fighting games and my love for Tekken. But Tekken is not on this list. We got a game called Bloody Roar 3. Now, this particular fighting game, not many people know about. Small community of people, but back then it was major. And in the early 2000s, this was when 3D fighters were on the rise with Tekken, Virtua Fighter, Dead or Alive, Soul Calibur, and last but not least, Bloody Roar. Now in Bloody Roar 3, this game was super fast paced, combos were hitting, like they were just hitting different, and the characters were all distinct from one another. I ain't never played a fighter where you would turn into an animal like humanoid. Like, you had characters turn into wolves, cheetahs, lions, chameleons, bats, rabbits, and tigers, and many more. Never got a chance to play 1 and 2 on the PS1, so I knew nothing about this series at all. I remember when I was in Circuit City, and if you know, you know, but I was looking for a new game when I came across Bloody Roar 3. The cover is what really got me, and that's the thing, like, again, we didn't have reviews or gaming news outlets to tell us if the game was good or not. I just looked at the cover and I was like, yo, I don't know what this is, but it looks fire. And I'm so glad I got it. If you look at the game aesthetics and the sound and hear the soundtrack, it feels like you in a late 90s, early 2000s vibe of anime. And that's what this game was giving, and I loved it. This game was low-key preparing me for Tekken and just stringing up combos in general. So I really have this game to thank. But yeah, this is definitely a sleeper, and we definitely need a remaster of this game. Please bring back Bloody Roar, specifically 3. Now, I know they had Bloody Roar 4, but it was kind of trash. But hey, that Bloody Roar 3 was something different.